Going live. All right.
Okay.
What was that you just said?
You want me to ask that?
Yeah, ask the question again.
I said, how you doing with the hockey? Do you still have all your teeth? Look at that.
It's my ribs that are the implicated part right
Man,
now.
that's a tough sport. That and lacrosse probably the two toughest sports.
All right, we're getting warmed up here. Just want to share this to my own profile. There we go.
We're going to see people as they come in.
We are. And we're going to pull up the chat here. There we go. I'm getting myself reacclimated with StreamYard. It looks at the surface like it's like Zoom, but it's completely different.
Well, I've only been on the receiving side. There's nobody here yet, right?
No, we literally just went on.
No, I've been on Angel Gotti's show a bunch of times, and she uses StreamYard, so I'm used to just being on it.
The other factor is that I also stream it to conversionchemistry.com, so people can only watch and really not participate that way. Here's the trick for those of you who are watching or rewatching it is we go live using StreamYard. So it's Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, you do whatever you want. YouTube especially. Well, YouTube lets you embed the video, any video, whether it's live, whether it's pre-recorded, long form, short form, into a website, into a landing page via code. So we schedule this, and then I dump that code into the landing page, conversionchemistry.com/webinar. And you can always see the next webinar, tune in live, and then replay it while it's still available. So like I can see Dylan Lee's chiming in, yet I don't see him in the room. Very fascinating. He's chiming in from LinkedIn. Say hi to Dylan.
Dylan, how you doing? I saw your comment on George's channel. And I'm not seeing anything from Dylan. Do you? I don't know.
Oh, that's fine. All right, without further ado, let us get started. I am Jonesy. This is a conversion webinar. Would you stop talking over me, Mandelbaum?
Okay.
You'll have your chance. This is a conversion chemistry collab webinar with our friend, our co-host, mentor, William Adam Mandelbaum, Esquire, sometimes called Uncle Billy, sometimes called Satan. It doesn't matter. He is the author of Survive the First Five, a book for entrepreneurs on making it through your first 5 years of business. Other wonderful publications for entrepreneurs. The new YouTube channel, what's it called?
New Business Battle Plan.
A new business battle plan. Really good stuff for entrepreneurs from his experience. Really good one just dropped about SBA funding, which is something I know pretty much nothing about. I'm a bootstrap funder when it comes to entrepreneurship, but that's the real deal. So amazing stuff there. Go check it out. And of course, we always want to see you at our conversion chemistry webinars, typically every Friday, every other Friday. And then our masterminds, which will be occurring the next one on March 11th, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Register for your complimentary pass at conversionchemistry.com. So what are we talking about today, Sarah?
Today we're going to be talking about East meeting West. We're going to be talking about the intersection of using 3 different Asian concepts, Far Eastern concepts, in your Western business and how they can benefit you. Are we gonna wait for more people, or are we gonna start now? What are we gonna do?
No, we're gonna go now.
All right. So, do you have some questions you want to ask first?
Well, my first question is, what made you think about doing this? Because it's a very specific concept and something we typically don't think about.
Well, I used to. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's about it. So, what made you think about doing this?
And I used to use these concepts of East meets West in my law practice. For example, as you probably can figure out, in litigation, attorneys are very aggressive, and they used to push back, and then they push back, blah blah blah. It's a testosterone treat. So what I used to do instead, if a guy was coming off very aggressive, I'd make believe I was being passive, and when he was becoming passive, I would become aggressive. It was, going with the flow. It was almost like a legal jujitsu, if you will. Mm-hmm. And the concept of using different culture concepts in your business and in your life can make a significant and beneficial difference. So that's how that happened.
And where did you learn these techniques?
Well, back in the old days when I had hair in a waistline, I used to be a martial arts instructor before I went to law school. And then I was always into Asian philosophy, and that's where I picked it up.
Okay. What type of martial arts discipline were you trained in?
Well, what I was teaching back in the 70s was from a style from Ed Parker. It was Kempo. Ed Parker was a Hawaiian guy who was a really bad dude. He taught a bunch of martial arts stars, and that's what we were doing because it comes in handy. It came in handy a few times for me, and came in footy too, and that was the story.
The hand and foot method, Taekwondo.
Right.
So interesting. So now we got some pro members of Conversion Chemistry who are lawyers and Kempo masters, and we have a veterinarian doctor who is a jujitsu master.
Well, I certainly wasn't a master. I was just an instructor. I was okay. I was nothing special.
Better than me.
Eh.
And that's what we say in entrepreneurship is you only have to be 10% better than somebody else. Now that doesn't mean you're a master, sure. But if you're squaring up against somebody who has zero martial arts discipline, my money's going to back you.
That's true. Well, there's an old saying, what do you have to know to teach a dog? More than a dog.
Right. Yeah, all right. So back to this, because I find it fascinating because I don't know terribly a large amount about these concepts, but what I'm anticipating is as you're going through this, it's going to tie into some other disciplines I've learned. I'm fascinated when old meets new, when East meets West, and because we are in a global society, a global economy. You're in New York, I'm in the Philly area. We're by all intents and purposes 90 minutes apart doing this collab. Our members are worldwide. We got members in Ireland, in India, in Australia. We've got an Australian member, and Philippines. So we're global. It's a global society. And there's a lot we can learn from each other, from our experiences.
And from our different cultures, absolutely, which is part of the reason for this particular video.
Yep. So we're going to talk about three concepts. We're going to talk about Ikigai, we're going to talk about Kaizen, and we're going to talk about Wu Wei. Which one do you want to start with?
Let's start with Ikigai first. Ikigai is a Japanese concept of, it's more than, finding your passion, it's finding your purpose. And those two things are not identically equal. For example, now, I think, Jonesy, you like to flip houses or something among your other things?
Very interesting thing to bring up. I'm going to switch to flipping because I found that I effing hate being a landlord.
Oh, yeah. Having represented a bunch of landlords, I don't blame you.
Yeah. So my rental property I will be flipping, thus making me a flipper.
All right. The reason I ask, if we take that example, let's say your purpose is to be a flipper, house flipper. And for those of you who may not know what that means, is you buy a house, you fix it up, and you sell it at a profit, hopefully. But there may be a whole bunch of steps you don't like, that you're not passionate about. But your purpose, your driving purpose is to flip houses. So even if there are parts of it that are not passionate about, you might be passionate about the actual transaction work, the actual sale. You might be passionate about the money, of course. So Ikigai is a concept where passion meets purpose. And you have to ask yourself, for anybody who's here, Dylan, I know pretty much what kind of business you're doing. Does my purpose and my passion meet? If it does, great. Because sometimes you can be passionate about stuff that's not going to make you any money, a lot of times. Or if it doesn't meet perfectly, what parts of my purpose am I passionate about? You play to your strength. You don't play to your weakness. So if you're a sales and marketing guy as part of your, passion, that helps your purpose. All right. But I wanted to spell, and by the way, when you're ready to switch to a different portion of this, let me know, Josie. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. So here's what I suggest you do. You have two columns on a piece of paper because I like analog. And the reason I like analog is because when you actually physically write something down, it sticks with your brain better. That's what the studies show. Anyway, one column are your passions. Next column is your purpose. And you see where you can align the two of them so you can make money. You may want to be a content provider. That's your passion. That's also your purpose. But you may not like, for example, the editing portion of it, or you may not like the script portion of it. Some part you might not like, but you focus on your purpose and you try to align your passions as much as possible with that purpose, with an eye towards practicality, with a realization that you may be passionate about stuff that you can't make money on. So, that's a hobby.
Mm. All right. So what else besides? I mean, it's kind of like a pros and cons list. Like what other? I guess what other principles support Ikigai? Like what other steps can somebody take, or questions that they should be asking? I feel like it's a lot of like when we're talking like wisdom and philosophy that there's always questions that are produced
Well,
that then like lead to somebody answering them for themselves or others.
as a partial answer, can I plug my YouTube channel?
By all means, sir.
All right. For you people who may want more information on the subject, in addition to what you'll get here, if you go to New Business Battle Plan, there are a bunch of videos about this topic. But one of the things you have to do, and it's a challenge, is you have to be brutally honest with yourself, and you have to list what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, how does that align with your purpose and your passion. If you're a lousy salesperson, well, maybe you don't want to be in your own business, or you're going to have to hire somebody that's a good salesperson. If you're a lousy administrator, same thing. If you're a lousy, if your product, look, there are a lot of people that are in business, their product and their service is lousy. They may not know it, but it is. So you have to align your passions, your purpose, and your strength, because if you don't have it, you're going to have to get somebody that does. And that increases your chance of business success. But those are the two words. Purpose and passion. And I'm going to throw a third one in there, practicality.
Oh, the 3 Ps.
Yeah, because, you may like smoking cigars and drinking booze, and that's a passion. But that's something like, let's take that as a ridiculous example.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, one thing I used to do in the 90s, besides law, was I ran cigar dinners when that was the thing. If you're a woman, let's say you have an outgoing personality, you're physically attractive, you could do promotions for liquor products.
Mm-hmm.
So in that way, you're taking a passion that normally you wouldn't think you could monetize, and you're putting it with a purpose where it can. Now, Dylan, if I remember correctly, I believe you're involved in gaming, and not gambling, but video games. I think it is. Am I right on that, Dylan?
So Dylan Lee runs Dylan Digital, and he is a gamer. Okay, and so what he did was created a brand around that by targeting gamers in a professional development context. So teaching them how to apply for jobs better, connect with jobs that are meant for them. So I mean that kind of does tie into this almost directly.
That's a beautiful, beautiful marriage of passion and purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't even want to say the word challenges. It's one of the exercises somebody has to do is say, how do I monetize what I like? Can I monetize what I like? What's the best way to do it? What's the easiest way to do it? Dylan found a solution, because you use your head, you figure it out, you do some paper and pen work, and you decide, okay, purpose meets passion, Ikigai. Because if you don't have the passion, you don't have the purpose, you're not going to last too much long in business.
No, and I was thinking about burnout with all 3 of these concepts, and how the Western culture, the hustle culture, almost inevitably leads to that. And I was hoping that these techniques that you're bringing in would be a way to basically mitigate hustle culture burnout, allowing somebody to take time to relax, to enjoy life. That's the whole purpose of it anyway.
It certainly can prolong. I mean, I use myself as an example. I actively full-time practiced law 35 years. My first 28 years, I had the passion, I had the purpose, I loved it. My last 7, I hated it. But if it weren't for the alliance initially of the passion and the purpose, I wouldn't have loved it for 28 years.
Mm.
Not every not every romance lasts forever, but you want to make it last long. And that's where Ikigai comes in. And that's where you take this Eastern concept and apply it to your Western business ideas.
Okay, so then can we use Ikigai as like a check-in process? Like, say you've got the passion and the purpose for the first 30 years. What are the, we know what signs of burnout are, but how can we use Ikigai to act as a barometer against that?
Well, actually, the best answer I can give on that's going to go down to Wu Wei, but we'll get to that later.
Okay, got it. Thank you for that clarification.
The key is memory. Remember what you're doing and why you're doing it. I mean, obviously, the first purpose of business is to make a profit legitimately and ethically.
Mm-hmm.
But there's more to it than that. There is more to it than that. It might be a calling. For example, let's say with Dylan has this passion for video games, and he also wanted to align that with kind of being I may be using the wrong term, but a placement agency for guys who have that same passion. So the odds of him getting bored with that, because they're so varied and so many factors and facets to it, are small. The odds of him keeping that passion and that purpose for a long time are good, as long as the money's there.
Yeah, I think from a multifactored way too, because it's something he is passionate about, right? And gaming is an entire genre, which doesn't mean you're stuck within one game, Mario Brothers or Mario Karts. I'm showing my age here because I have no idea what games are relevant these days. But it means anything. You get if gaming's getting stale, you find a new game to play.
Not only that, but there's a script writing facet to gaming. There is a visual thing to gaming. Now with AI coming in, that might be able to both cause some jobs. On the other hand, allow more people to get into it because of the graphics that can be used.
Oh, so, yeah, AI is removing the barrier to a lot of entry for a lot of people. Like anything else, it's a tool to be wielded. Hammers don't build houses on their own, and AI is just a very powerful hammer automation tool.
So which brings us to another factor of passion and purpose is evolution. In other words, your field is changing. It may become more challenging, it may become more easy, but it's changing. And what Dylan does, for example, that's going to change. Especially AI is the biggest change there is. It's going to get rid of some jobs. On the other hand, it might create some. For example, like if you want to call it a prompt architect or a prompt engineer. Mm-hmm. And let me just do a little diversion on that. By the way, folks, two things to know, which is not Eastern, it's Western. One, AI created stuff is not copyrightable, and neither are prompts. Prompts in the courts have been called ideas, and ideas are not copyrightable. It's not expression. Be aware of that, gamers. Your script would be, if you wrote it, that could be copyrightable. Your graphics, if you created them, could be copyrightable. But robots don't have rights yet. All right, back to Ikigai. So it's required really that you spend a significant amount of time with yourself and be brutally honest. And at this time, I want to throw in another concept that I also mentioned in one of my videos on my channel, New Business Battle Plan, which is, are you familiar with the Dunning-Kruger effect? You are. Some of you may not be.
I am an expert at the Dunning-Kruger effect. Everything about the Dunning-Kruger effect.
In layman's,
I'm good at the Dunning-Kruger effect, and nobody can Dunning-Kruger out me. Phase 2.
In layman's terms, Dunning-Kruger is the effect where dumb people don't know how dumb they are. Unskilled people don't realize how unskilled they are, which is why it requires you to be brutally honest with yourself when you want to try to marry your passion and your purpose. All right, so that's on Ikigai. Should we have one more on that, or should we go to Kaizen?
Oh, I just wanted to fold in how it resonates with my own story about just merging my passion with my purpose. I didn't know at the time, my first few years working professionally in the world of IT, information technology, building systems, servers, support, all that stuff, really exposed. I like fixing things and scaling, creating solutions and matching solutions. But I also have a bit of creativity. I'm not an artist. Okay. I know what looks good. So I hired artists and graphic designers to work with me to validate my concepts. But I know what looks good, what looks bad, and what resonates with certain target audiences. But I like to have fun with things. And things like fire your boss and shut up, Karen, right? But anyway, there wasn't a lot of that within corporate IT at all. All right. Humor, corporate IT does not have a sense of humor that we're aware of. So that career kind of fizzled out during 2008, 9, during all the financial stuff that went on. Then I worked in marketing for some small businesses for a while building up my side hustle. And there's a point why I'm saying it that way. Until I became the head of marketing for, a few businesses. And then eventually had the book of business on my own to roll the dice. It wasn't really rolling the dice. My first big client was my last employer, and it's a marvelous relationship that I still have to this day. But I got market validation. And that's very important when you are attempting to marry passion and purpose is make sure there's a buyer first. And I know Dylan as our shining example here. He got a customer fairly early in the process, which that is the basic market validation. Um, and one of the tests we do for that is basically asking the question: what have people already gone to you for? What are you the expert at outside of your quote unquote 9 to 5 job and career? And start with that. Is there a way you can monetize that? But cultivate before you burn the boats, and get that quick market validation is kind of my ending point with that.
And something you said is another point is that alliance or that marriage between passion and purpose can bring you into different fields. For example, you had the field of what you're doing now, but you also have a passion and purpose in flipping houses or renovating houses, and seeing that you've taken something that may not be the greatest in the world, you make it a lot better, and then you sell it to somebody who can benefit from it. So the same passions and the same purposes can be found in different endeavors and different enterprises. You don't have to stick to just one. Although I recommend in the beginning you do, of course, because there's the old saying, what do you call a dog that chases 2 rabbits? And the answer is hungry. So should we go to Kaizen?
Let's go to Kaizen.
All right. So now we're staying in Japan, and we're going to talk about Kaizen. Kaizen was a concept originally developed by Toyota, and they've done okay over the years.
Oh, they developed Kaizen.
Yeah.
Oh,
yep.
Okay.
And it is small incremental changes in your business in all facets can make large improvements in your business over time. All right. And now the practical utilization of that is as follows. What are the 3 major areas of your business? Most important, marketing and sales, of course. Administration is another one, and quality control is a third. There may be others, but those are the 3 you want to focus on right now. So you take a look at everything you're doing, and you try to be and it's tough, you try to be as, impartial as possible, not biased. Your business is your baby, so sometimes you don't see it clearly.
Mm-hmm.
But you want to say, what can I do better? For example, I use this example frequently. Billing. Now, depending upon your industry, there are some guys that bill once a month. They don't get paid. They send another bill out. To me, that's idiotic. You bill as soon. Well, first of all, you want to get as much up front as you can. But you bill as soon as the work is done. You follow it up another 2 weeks. If you don't get paid every week after that, you make a phone call or some other contact, whatever is practicable. But the point is, let's say I'm using the concept of Kaizen, and I'm saying, well, you know what? My receivable collection isn't that great, but I'm only billing once a month. What could I do to change it? That's an example. Or let's say let's say you're a content producer. Well, an obvious example would be, can I save time by using AI as a basis to make changes on it, of course, so I can copyright what I'm doing? It's another example. Another example is take a look at marketing and sales. Now, no matter what we're doing, it's your business, my business, anybody's business, there's marketing and sales involved. If you're making a pitch, and in one form or another, whether it's written or verbal, you're going to make a pitch, record it, videotape it if it's practicable, and analyze what you're doing. Where is it weak? Where is it strong? Where can you make some changes that will lead to a better closing rate? How can you reword your CTA, your call to action, to make a better conversion rate? You're looking at all these aspects and making small changes that eventually will lead to large improvements. You can take a look. How many guys drop ship or sell a product and never used it? They don't know what's wrong with it. Well, you want to use it because you want to find out, where does it need tweaking? Can it be tweaked? Can you let your customer know in advance, yeah, you're going to buy this thing, but there's going to be this problem maybe, and here's the solution. It's a lot better for them to know that before they buy it than afterwards. All right. In your process of, if you're manufacturing something, are there steps you can take to make it more efficient and therefore less expensive? So every day you want to look at your business and say, what can I do to improve it? It doesn't have to be a major overhaul. Step by step by step. Let's say you have a professional office or a showroom that people come into. You look at it and say, is this comfortable? Is this showing the kind of image for me that I wanted to show, because business is a gestalt. It's a whole thing. Everything must jive with what you're trying to sell and tell. If I went to court wearing a sweatshirt and jeans, besides getting tossed out, I wouldn't look like a lawyer. If you're selling a product, packaging is very important, isn't it? If you can control that. If you're providing a service, how you sell the product, the service, is important. I'll give you an example. Let's say I'm a plumber, I'm an electrician, a carpenter, some kind of trade, some kind of skilled trade. Well, if I'm going to someone's house to do some work, you're not wearing a suit, but you want to make sure your work clothes are neat, your boots are neat. You don't want to smell like the last time you had a shower when Eisenhower was president. You want to make these changes, because everything that changes your image for the better can also change your business for the better. Kaizen is a mindset. Too many people are just looking to do the same thing every day. They're making money. They say, hey, it's fine. It's okay. We don't need to do anything. We don't have to make changes. That's laziness. It's also stupid, because you never know when a small change can make a big change in your profit margin or your profits, your volume. And that's what it is with Kaizen. So for everybody listening to this presentation, I would do this. And again, I'm suggesting go analog. Make a list on paper, under administration, under quality control, under marketing and sales. And write down what you're doing, and then think about how can you change that for the better? How can you make a small change? For example, on a website, can you change the typography? Can you change the colors to have a more congruent message? If you're doing in the financial, legal, or say accounting field, the colors and the images you choose want to show stability and conservatism. If, on the other hand, you're a more creative guy, you may want to have it brighter, or using images that go along with that. You may want to be the Job guy wearing the turtleneck and the jeans instead of the guy wearing the three-piece suit and the black cap toes. It depends. But everything counts. And with Kaizen, you look at everything and see, what change can I make today that's small? And tomorrow, what change can I make? And the day after that, to lead me to better profits and better business. Go ahead, Jonesy.
I love this because this actually goes beyond philosophy and mindset into an actual framework. And, I haven't dug into it, so how much it actually relates to things like Dr. Aaron Beck's behavioral habit forming techniques and the 7 habits of highly effective people. But it's the same outcome: is small incremental changes leading to massive growth. And you described a lot just in marketing, which I know you know this, but it's A/B testing. And usually people, businesses, managers think of A/B testing as completely different channels. Is this billboard more effective, or is this digital ad on Facebook more effective? That's not really a comparison. What a comparison would be, is this billboard with a green background and serif font more effective than a blue background with Comic Sans MS written in yellow? And that's a broad example. Let's talk about digital. All right, you're talking about the sell and the tell must resonate and be consistent the whole way through. And we're talking about the funnel, which is somebody who's not aware all the way down to buying your product, literally in the V-shaped funnel. It all must be consistent in branding and messaging and tone. Stages have different messaging, of course, but the tone and the branding must be consistent. So that means if you change one small thing, it should be consistent on all channels. And also, you can make these changes at any level. So I'll just give the example. We'll talk about an opt-in page on a coaching website that you're running a digital ad for. So you want somebody to sign their email address or text message, whatever. So you got a landing page with copy on it. Then you've got whatever is sending them there. That could be an organic post. That could be an ad, a digital ad. Okay, well, that digital ad's got 2 components. It's got either graphic or video, and it's got copy, and it's got a call to action. So You can A/B test any of those things. You can A/B test the graphic, the video, the copy. Most of the platforms support this. And how into the weeds you get depends on your scale and what type of changes you're trying to make, but they're all completely doable and they will all give you actionable insights. I think really one of the easiest ones to implement in advertising is on platform. Is always run, 2 ads per ad set, as simple, and even if you're just spitballing, whichever one performs better, double the budget and remove the other one, and then do it again. Find another change that you can make. And then same thing on the landing page. Change the font, change the color. Put turtleneck guy there instead of shirt and tie guy. Email open rates, opt-in rates. Everything can be done that way incrementally. We run that like as an agency. That's how we run ads for our clients. Even when an ad is performing exceptionally well, we always put a B test into like, let's put a different video or a different call to action in there. And let's see which one performs better. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes the new one performs like crap. We just had this discussion yesterday with one of my clients. Well, the last job I had before I became unemployable, as we say in entrepreneurship. I don't do direct ad management. I act as a consultant. So I work very well at this pay-per-click company, and I hope he watches it. But we were talking about updating the video that's been in use for about a year or so with a new one. And the takeaway was, sure, we'll try that new video. And guess what? If the old one performs better, we're going to stick with it. So that's just another way we go about it there. Yeah. So we talk about small incremental changes having a long lasting effect. And I still want to tie it back into just the philosophical and cultural differences between the Western hustle culture and pretty much everywhere else in the world that tends to take more time to relax and and just enjoy things, slow it down a little bit. And one of Stephen Covey's 7 habits is sharpen the saw. Take some time off to sharpen the saw because a dull saw is not going to cut anything and lead to burnout.
All right, let me give an example of when the consequences of not using Kaizen. These are classic examples. You may be familiar with them. One of them was the Chevy Nova. Now, Toyota comes up with Kaizen and they make a great car. Chevy Nova was wondering, why aren't we doing well in South America? How come we're not selling a lot of these cars? And the reason was, if you break up the word Nova, it's Nova, which means it doesn't go.
Go.
And there's another classic story about Coca-Cola. They tried changing that name into Mandarin, and it turned out to be Bite the Wax Tadpole. So these are not great uses of your marketing techniques. You want to look, how do we improve these things? God forbid they could have got a guy who speaks fluent Mandarin. They could have said, no, translate it this way.
Right.
Or somebody who spoke Spanish said, no, you don't want to do a Chevy Nova.
Yeah.
Not in South America. So that's the other side of it. If you don't do these things, you come up with stupid nonsense. That'll kill your business.
And we're going to go back to the use of AI and deep research, is that the barrier to find this research has never been lower, and it's only getting easier.
Yeah, I mean, AI is a two-edged sword. On the other hand, on one hand, it's going to put a lot of creative people out of business. On the other hand, it's going to make your business a lot easier.
I think it is, and it isn't, because people are going to be so fed up with AI content that they're going to crave genuine, faces.
Anybody watching YouTube can see a perfect example of that. You can always tell an AI movie, an AI picture, and all that. It's soulless. I mean, it kind of looks good, but it's soulless. And that's why, for example, on my channel, New Business Battle Plan, that I say this is not robots. No robots here. Because, if you're giving AI content, anybody can do that. You got to give stuff that AI can't do.
And then when everybody's doing something, it's not special.
Yeah. And not only that, you can't protect it. You can't even protect it because it's not copyrightable.
Right.
It's a tool. It may be like an armature on which you build your creature, but it's not the final product. And I just want to make sure we stick within the time constraints. Do we want to do it more with Kaizen, or we want to do it with Wu Wei, or what do we want to do?
Why don't we move into Wu Wei?
All right. And it follows with something you said about burnout. So look, Wu Wei is a Chinese concept found in Taoism. It means basically doing nothing or effortless effort. And everybody has had a Monday in their life when everything you do, everything you try doesn't work.
Hmm.
When that Monday is like 1,000 Mondays on one Monday. Now, Western philosophy tells you, we'll put your nose to the grindstone and keep pushing. All that's going to do is give you a smaller nose, which is probably something I should have used. But anyway, the point is, you step away, you take a break for a day, and you come back refreshed, less stressed, and then you take a look at the problem. That's Wu Wei in action. That's doing nothing, not obviously for a long time, but for a period of time. Okay? Now, another great example of Wu Wei is in a sales pitch. Let's say you're making an in-person sales pitch. You're dealing with a human being, if you remember what those things are. You make a pitch, and then you shut up. And you wait for the prospect or the customer, or the potential customer, to talk. Because he's going to say one or two things. He's going to tell you what he wants. He's going to tell you what he doesn't want. And you use that. Turn that around. Somebody's making a pitch to you. They make the pitch. You shut up. And then watch them if they're amateurs negotiate against themselves. I got a war story on that. 40 years ago, I'm in Singapore. And I had a collectible firearms client that was looking to acquire 3 30 caliber machine guns that are manufactured by this Singapore company. And I had set up my appointment while I was still stateside. So I go there and I make the pitch. And there's 3 guys I'm dealing with, 3 Chinese guys, Mr. Silence, Mr. Don't Say Anything, and Mr. Looking at me like I'm a weirdo. And I give my pitch, and then nothing. Crickets, Zippo, garbage, silence. And I know enough at least to shut my mouth. And finally they look at me and they go, minimum order 300. And I, crawled out of there, and that was it. But they used Wu Wei as a negotiating technique. Mm-hmm. Shut the F up, let the other guy talk.
So what happens when an unmovable object meets the unstoppable force and both parties are in silence?
That's when you get in high explosives.
Okay.
Because there's nothing that can't be solved with the judicious use of high explosives. Obviously, I'm kidding. You know what? Remember this too. Not every deal can be made. The bigger the deal, the less likely it's going to happen. The longer it takes to sign, the less likely it's going to get signed. But sometimes, this is a great portion of Wu Wei. The last thing you want to show to another side in negotiation is desperation. Even if it's true, you don't show that because they're like sharks. They smell blood in the water. They'll come after you. They'll eat your lunch. Wu Wei helps you with that because you don't push it. Let's say I'll give you an example. Years and years ago, I was after this one particular client's business because he had great potential and realized that potential as an entrepreneur. He's now a multimillionaire and he's an international business. And I would run into him and I would talk with him, blah, 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 blah. I didn't push too hard, but I made sure my face was in the place. And when he got divorced, after he got rid of one attorney, he came to me. Because I used the Khalil Gibran concept of let there be spaces in your togetherness. In other words, pitch, shut up, we'll wait. Pitch, shut up, we'll wait. Which also ties in with Kaizen, because you're making more and more steps, but you're leaving blanks there. Otherwise, you're going to sound too pushy, too desperate, and you're going to get the exact opposite of what you want. Another example of Wu Wei, and let me know when you want to chime in, Josie, is after you have a certain skill level, like maybe Jonesy with marketing, or me maybe when I used to do law, you become a beneficiary of effortless effort. It's like you just doing it. The perfect example, if you ever watch gymnastics in the Olympics, I mean, they make it look easy, but the hell it is not.
Right.
But for them, it is. It's effortless effort, which occurs from perfect practice. So the Wu Wei concept can both save your business and save your emotional health, because there are times you back off.
What are some signs that one should stop, putting their nose to the grindstone?
Because when everything you're doing doesn't work.
But how do you differentiate that from the 3 feet from gold concept, where if you push just one more inch, then you're striking gold?
A and B testing.
I love it.
If you guys have YouTube channels, you know that one of the things you have with YouTube in your studio is the ability to change an A/B test a thumbnail. Also, for example, my channel is new. It's only 17 days old, and I've got a decent amount of subscribers for 17 days. I changed titles. I saw mistakes I was making. I was using Kaizen. Let me change this. And then I was using Wu Wei and say, okay, well, let's not do anything for a while to see if there's an effect. And it was. So we have here a concept, a marriage, if you want to call it a threesome, between Ikigai, between Kaizen, and between Wu Wei. Using all of these techniques together to improve your business and also to improve your personal life too. You want to study these concepts. You want to make them a part of your tool belt. Jonesy.
Yeah, Wu Wei is just the way you were describing that, especially when it comes to sales and marketing. It's just, I mean, classic Dan Kennedy type stuff with his magnetic marketing, which isn't don't be pushy, don't sell, but create demand around something. And that's always resonated with me. His philosophies and techniques have kind of forked out into some different people, like Russell Brunson and whatnot. But one question I always hated everywhere, which is, sell me this pen.
Oh, I had an answer to that.
I'm curious to see, because I have an answer now too.
My answer was no.
Mine's similar to that.
There's a great example. I think it was in the movie Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah.
Where he said, sell me this pen. And he said, okay, write this down. I don't have a pen. He says, here, So the point is, somebody tells you to sell you this pen. You don't try to, say, hey, this pen's great. It's fantastic. George Washington slept on this pen. No. You say, what do you want a pen for? Let him tell you.
Yeah.
Why would you want this pen? You may not want this pen. Did you ever see the movie Glengarry Glen Ross?
Yep. The leads are weak.
Which is a great movie besides, what's his name's, speech, Coffees for Closers.
Yeah.
But if you looked at how Al Pacino sold that guy in the Chinese restaurant, he says, well, you may want to do this, you may not. You might. You don't push.
Right. You pull.
Because what's a prospect thinking? He's thinking, well, I may want to do this, I may not. You reflect that. You mirror that. You may want to do this, you may not. You don't show desperation. Now, let me get to your answer about you were going to say.
It's basically the same thing. This pen? Are you sure you want this pen? Are you sure you're ready for this pen? What are you
negative sale? Great technique.
This pen is for the deal makers. This pen is for those who are willing to take action. This pen is going to ink deals. This pen is going to make you money. Do you think you want the pen? That pen sounds great.
Give you another example. When I was teaching martial arts, we used to have this thing as a marketing tool. We would offer 4 lessons, a package of 4 lessons plus a gi, a uniform. And then after the 4 lessons, we would bring the student in for evaluation to see, is he good enough to continue? So you got a negative sale. You're making the prospect say, am I good enough for this? And for some reason, everybody was good enough. I don't know why that was. We had a lot of athletic people. That's the point. Just like how does a luxury item sell? If you want to get something,
the lifestyle, it's got nothing to do with the object itself.
Do you know? Maybe you do, but it was a long time ago. In Beverly Hills, and I think in New York, there was this Persian guy named Bijan. Bijan, back in the 80s, was selling like a $3,000 sweater, but you had to make an appointment to go buy it. How's that as a marketing technique? Are you good enough? Look what Hermes does. You can't just walk in and buy something you want. You got to buy certain things first. So luxury marketing is a whole different thing. But it's brilliant. And whoever came up with it obviously used the concept of Ikigai and Kaizen and Wu Wei. Sometimes you got to take the thing away and bring the customer in because he wants it. It's like the test drive. The test drive is a perfect example. You put the car in the idiot's hands, and now he's got a tactical bond with this car. And if you notice, to use the car salesman example, one of the first things they want to do is they want to get you through a test drive before they talk about price.
Always.
For obvious reasons.
Yep.
Okay, Jonesy, over to you.
we can talk about numbers all day, but let's talk about this car right now. And then usually, I was never a car salesman. I did, like appointment setting. I ran the appointment setting department. I did marketing, but of course, I'd ride shotgun. I'd go on sales calls and observe. Again, shut up. Let them feel the car out. Ask questions rather than just spout out all the features.
By the way, on another note, if you're going to do what it costs, here's what you do, and they hate it. First of all, can I give this little spiel?
Go for it.
Okay, it's a little off topic, but in certain ways it's not. One of the first things he's going to want to ask you is for your driver's license. What you do is when you go to the lot, bring a copy of it. Don't give them the original. You know why they want the driver's license? He was told to keep you there. And we said, I'd like to leave. Yeah, well, we're trying to find your license. We can't find it. Hang on. Nah, don't go for that. Another thing they're going to ask you is about your credit rating. Your answer is this. I'll be glad to tell you once we get an out-the-door price on the vehicle. You tell them, look, you and I are going to either do one of two things. We're either going to work and get an out-the-door price on the vehicle, or I'm going to find another guy who's going to give me an out-the-door price. And one of the questions they're going to ask you is, well, how much are you looking to finance it? You don't answer that. Here's your answer. Once I get the out-the-door price on the vehicle, if we get that far, I'll be glad to talk to your F&I guy. That's finance and insurance, where they really try to rip you off. So that's what you do. You don't play the game. And there's lessons there, too, in Wu Wei. Let's take a look at Wu Wei. You're not playing his game. You're taking things away. You're doing certain things that are nothing, that mess up his sales pitch. Let's take a look at Kaizen. You're doing certain things that improve your chances of getting a better deal on a vehicle. And Ikigai is your purpose and your passion is to get a car you want at a good price. That's just an example of how, in a simple everyday transaction, you can meld and marry these three concepts. Over to you, Josie.
That's a great example. I want to tie something of mine into it using all three. I'm having difficulty right now.
And even that's useful. That you see, that's an example when you're heavily involved in your own business. That's when you use the Wu Wei to step away from it and say, okay, what am I looking at?
I'm trying to think about ways I've pivoted and used all three.
There's probably a bunch of them. It's just, you got to sort them.
The scenario, and you can help me define it because these concepts are still new to me. When going from freelancer to running a marketing agency, as a freelancer, I would say yes to every job and take on every job and do everything. But just because I'm capable of doing it, A, doesn't mean it's the right decision. And B, it's not scalable, which if we just, go very basic Michael Gerber E-Myth stuff, in order to build a scalable business, you have to build systems around it. And, just what I'm learning today is that, Kaizen is going to allow me to build a system around a series of action steps. Great. And Ikigai is going to help me define, even before we put monetization on the table and revenue generating activities. All right. Yeah. Can I set up email addresses and manage email accounts? Absolutely. But I don't like doing it because it's administrative work, and B, it doesn't have any direct tie into the creative side and the lead generation side of marketing. It's just a component that's necessary, and I don't want to do it. So I figure that out, and then help me tie Wu Wei into all this.
Wu Wei ties into I don't want to do it. In other words, you're leaving certain things out. You're trying to make more of your work effortless effort. And for example, if you want to scale, what do you have to do? You have to learn how to delegate. Okay. You have to bring in your freelancers.
There's the tie-in, because I was kind of not differentiating that from Ikigai, but yes, leaving that part out and the effortless effort, which when somebody says, we'll take the example of full funnel marketing from an ad network. It doesn't matter if it's TikTok, a billboard, email, Google Display, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, wherever an ad is being paid for and shown to the end stage. I know every process like the back of my hand now, and that I have automations for and systems and setups. building a small business website from scratch. We can do that in a matter of days because of the systems we have built. And we like that creative process. But what we don't like doing is, or what I don't like doing is mundane administrative type work that systems can't be built around.
I'll give you an example of my own life. Now that I don't have to practice law anymore full time or even part time, I still retain the things I like to do. For example, consulting with people like this, or I help some other lawyers draft up leases or review leases or other contracts or pleadings because I like the writing part of it. I don't want to deal with lawyers anymore. I don't want to deal with judges anymore. So I'm taking what I still have remaining of my passion and purpose and putting it that way. And Kaizen got me there too by thinking, what changes can I make to accomplish my passion and purpose? And Wu Wei helped too because I said, okay, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to make this effort here. So this is the best threesome you can have as far as when East meets your Western business. Ikigai, Kaizen, and Wu Wei. And it's worth your while to study it a little bit, and besides just doing an AI search.
And are you still available as a resource for business people, entrepreneurs, to help them form their business battle plan, to be a consultant, to do writing, to
Yeah, absolutely. But you know what? I'm doing something that's in a sense against my own interest, but because my passion and purpose right now is helping new entrepreneurs defined as guys in their first 5 years of business.
Mhm.
The most dangerous years. I would tell somebody, listen, you want coaching? Fine. Get my book first for $3 or $4. It's going to tell you a lot of what you need to know. Do that first step. And obviously, from a sales point of view, too, can I use some colorful language here or no? Are they women here? You want me to use that? Let's see. I'll clean it up. In sales, you want to kiss them before you have a more intimate relationship.
I see. Yes. Okay. Thank you for keeping it PG.
Get the foot in the door.
Yeah.
With a small sale or a freebie. Get them used to saying, okay, I trust this guy. Let me spend some money, spend money more. And that's how you do it. And also, if this is counterintuitive, but a lot of times it's a great sales technique. People would think, okay, yeah, well, how much is your coaching program? I said, I don't want you to have it yet. You don't need it yet. Get this book. Read the book. You want a coaching program? Then we'll talk. Instead of saying, well, here's my Lambo and here's my private plane and here's some rented models and all this other crap.
Yeah.
Folks, if you're doing the YouTubes and other material like that on business, don't look at Rambo and a Lambo. You want to go to the legitimate guys who have legitimate credentials and experience, the CPAs, the lawyers, the real estate brokers, the guys who flip houses, the marketers like of course, Jonesy over here. The guys who've been there, done that, and don't have their egos up their ass and, just want to show you what car they got this week that they rented. You want legitimate guys. And I'm going to do a little plug for this. I don't have a financial interest, really. I'm not an owner of Conversion Chemistry. But you know what? If I was a new entrepreneur, and again, defining that within the first 5 years, I would love to have a resource like this. Where the hell are you going to get this?
This is why we created it. This is why Frank, myself, that's why we came together and created this, is because I needed y'all 20 years ago. I didn't have that resource. Now, whether it was because my eyes weren't open enough, my mindset wasn't in the right place, I wasn't ready, it doesn't matter. But I needed that. I needed that guidance and mentorship. And I'm in the same position. Is all I want is for all of my mistakes to not be repeated by anybody, because they are very much not repeatable. Really basic stuff. Because entrepreneur, you're going to find all sorts of new mistakes to make that are very specific to your business and industry, and that's fine. It's going to happen. You're going to A/B test your way out of them, so that way, first, it doesn't happen again. Never let anything get between you and your money, or at least don't let it happen twice. And then B, you're going to be able to do the same thing, share that knowledge and experience, and be able to prevent the routine mistakes from not happening. And then we all grow and thrive because of it.
Remember, when you put your ego in your pocket, there's no room for money. You want to learn. You want to keep an open mind. I don't want to say be humble, because I don't believe in that. But don't be arrogant either. But take advantage of every resource. And I'm not saying it because I'm here, to have a mastermind group like you get here, live, with people that know what the hell they've doing and have done it, that's beyond price. Obviously the guys who are here know that. Tell your friends that are entrepreneurs or want to be entrepreneurs. Tell them about this place, this resource. Find this somewhere else. You know what? You won't. You'll find some recorded crap from some Rambo and a Lambo that's going to overcharge you for nothing.
Yeah. So you have your videos, Think and Grow Rich. I'm a hockey guy, so I go to the rink and grow rich. Or sometimes we like to drink and grow rich.
No, not me anymore.
Oh.
Napoleon Hill, who I like what he wrote, but I'm not a fan of him because if you look him up, he was a con artist. But in his book, Think and Grow Rich, he has some nice quotes about the mastermind group. And to paraphrase one of them, he says, you can make more progress in 1 year with a mastermind group than you'll make in your entire lifetime by yourself. And those are words to live by.
Yeah, I mean, it acts like your personal board of directors, inputs, like entire departments that you otherwise wouldn't have the resources for as a solopreneur or small business.
And here you got guys that really want to help. One of the reasons I got involved with this is because Jonesy and Frank, besides knowing what they're talking about, are really nice guys. They're accessible. They're not arrogant pricks, and they actually do give a shit about you guys and want to help you.
And so, I always want to differentiate from the gurus because, I would like to have FU money. I just want enough money that I never have to worry about money again. Is like you said, don't be arrogant. These are steps and actions and frameworks that we use ourselves in our everyday lives. So it's nothing we wouldn't do ourselves. Frank boils it down very simply, and he has literally written down on his desk. I've been to his office. Do the next right thing. Just do the next thing. That's kind of his mantra for every coaching client, for conversion chemistry, for anybody who is looking to get unstuck and take that next step. It's do the next right thing, and we help you define what that next right thing is, because it's going to be different for everybody and what stage you're at.
Just remember, you don't want your customers to be one and done. You want it to be lifelong customers, if it's practical, if it's possible. And the way you do that is you are honest, you are open, and you provide the service or product that you say you would, and you stand behind it.
10% better or 10% different, or both optimally.
All right, so we have about an hour here, Jonesy.
Yeah, just gonna leave it open for questions for a couple of minutes. Otherwise, we might be done here. How would one sign off using the 3 techniques? Is there any sort of phrase or mantra that we can use as a closing statement?
Well, I'm going to use Wu Wei and say nothing.
That is the best answer. That is great. We'll stare in silence for the next 2 minutes.
By the way, speaking of Eastern wisdom, you probably heard of the Zen koan. What is the sound of one hand clapping? And everybody scratches their head. Very simple. The purpose of that little joke is sometimes your solution is not only simple, but it's a little out of the box. Any questions there, Dylan? Or anybody else who might actually be here? No, Jonesy, it's your show. You pull the plug whenever you want.
Trailing off, that's fine. We're going to close out. Just want to thank everybody for watching. If you're watching this past the live, this will be public for about 30 days or so. Then it'll be behind the gated but open community of Conversion Chemistry Pro level members. We gave you a discount code, didn't we? I think we should promote that.
Who me?
You, yeah.
Yeah, it's in my if you go to my show on New Business Battle Plan, where I talk about masterminds, I talk about conversion chemistry. There is a link to a discount code you should take advantage of. Yeah. We don't typically like to promote giving discounts to everybody, but if that's the decision, if that's the barrier between somebody joining and not, I want to make sure that barrier is removed. You have to ask yourself a question, folks. What would I pay to realize my dreams? What would I pay to have a successful business? If the answer is nothing, then you're probably not ready. And that's if you went to college and you spent, tens of hundreds of thousands of dollars and you got nothing for it, you're not going to spend that kind of money here and you're going to get something for it. By the way, Jonesy, after the live is over, can you stick around for a minute? Can we do that?